Welcome to Speaking from the Purple Couch, where we explore the depths of human experience. We share stories, issues, and situations that will ignite understanding and empowerment. Subscribe and be part of the journey. Because empowerment begins with conversation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am live. This is me, live, not Memorex. I'm going to blow myself up soon, but as you can see, this is the story time. It's a true occurrence. And like I told you, I have worked in places around well known people. And so a lot of things that I talk about is not about hearsay. It's about her say. I'm her. Okay. So we're going to talk about this story that kind of puts you in mind of what integrity means and what needs to be in the church. So we're also going to talk about vision and how the future church almost made it to the evening service. Okay. And yes, this really happened. And let me try to blow myself up. Let me see. Did I go right here? Nope. Right here. Okay. There we go. There we go. Hey, everyone. Hey, got my red, whatever this is. Okay. So, yes, this is story time. This really happened. Okay. So, what are we talking about? Okay. This was a weekday afternoon, and the pastor wasn't there. I worked for this church. Okay. I was the only one in the office, and it was quite peaceful, very peaceful, just me. And the phones weren't really ringing, and the doorbell rings. But let me let you picture what was going on. Okay, sitting in the lobby was this model of our future church. You know how architect makes a model and it's made of like parcel board. It has the how the church is set up, and then it has the little trees. You've seen models. Okay, so this model was done by an architect that we had actually paid. Well, I had generated the check for the model. So we had the model of the future church, right? It was made of parcel board, precise, clean, very professional, very professional. No one had any issues with it, okay? And I think it was really nice. And it was encased in a glass display case so that as the members walked in, they was able to see the vision, they was able to see it. You know, now the case was actually purchased by a member. Okay, so there was a lot of that going on anyway. So now we have in the lobby as you come in the actual model of the church encased in glass. Okay, so the doorbell rings. I come to the door, and in walks the architect, the one who actually made the model. So he asks for the pastor, and I tell him the pastor isn't there. So he says, "Really?" I said, "Yes." So then he asks, "Do you know why a stop payment was put on my check?" And I'm like, excuse me? Um, I'm the one who generated the check. I gave you the check. I said, I didn't put a stop payment on the check. And he was like, well, I believe you didn't, but I believe your pastor did. So I'm like, what? Are you sure? He was like, yes. There was a stop payment put on the check, and every once I put the check in, it did not clear, and things were bouncing, and I'm like, oh my God. So before I could really process what he was saying, because I'm still bewildered, like why would anybody put a stop payment on the check? We got the model here. The man provided the service. He actually, and it was nice. I mean, he's a professional, certified architect, a licensed architect, or whatever they get, and it was nice, and everybody embraced it. So he looked over at the model while I'm still processing that someone has stopped payment on this man's check. And he said, well, since I wasn't paid for it, I'm going to destroy it. So I'm like, so I'm standing there and he goes, opens up the top of the glass case and he picks up the model. He lays it on the floor and he laid it down there really, really nice. But then brother man started jumping on it, stomping on it. I mean, he was crushing it. He was jumping, stomping, jump. I mean, it was like this was therapeutic for him. He was crushing that model. It was in pieces. You know, the little trees was here, there. You didn't even recognize the whole little front of the church. I mean, it was smashed, dashed, and just looking crazy. And I'm standing there like this grown man is jumping up and down on this model, and he did not care. He was in his zone, and he was determined he was going to destroy this model because somebody stopped the check. Now, at this point, the vision of the church had already gone to be with the Lord. The honey, the model gave up the ghost. It gave up the ghost. Okay, so when he finished, he said, "Tell him I was here." And I'm like, okay. And he just left. I kind of looked down at it. I'm like, oh, wow. And I was like, I'm not cleaning up because somebody need to see the aftermath of this. So a few hours later, the pastor comes in. And by then, a few members had already came in, mostly ones they like clean up or whatever. They came in, they saw it, and they didn't know what to do with it. You know, I was like, whatever. So we were having, this is the weekday, but we were having an evening service. So the pastor had one of the deacons go and clean it up so the rest of the members wouldn't see it. But I mean, I'm sure they would recognize that there's an empty, you know, showcase display. But anyway, they did clean it up before the service and the rest of the people came. So I told the pastor exactly what he said. And here's the part that kind of mattered to me. He could not say that the model was unacceptable. So that was his reasoning for stopping the check because his actions had already said the opposite, that he was pleased with the model because he was so pleased with it that he had it encased in glass. So, you know, you can't say that it was unacceptable. You don't put something that's unacceptable in a glass display, front and center, for everybody to see as they walked in. So no, 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 you can't throw that on me because that model was cherished, it was protected, it was showcased. Like I said, that architect did a great job. So stopping the check wasn't about quality. He made a choice to do this. The pastor made a choice to stop that payment. So the model didn't just get destroyed, it got swept up before worship. The deacon was sweeping through the city with with the model pieces. And the lesson for me was this: integrity isn't about what you display, it's about what you're willing to stand behind when no one's watching. You know, you can put a vision in a glass case, polish it, protect it, and point people to it. But if you won't honor the people who helped build it and do right by them, the vision is already broken. You know, the future church, that model, it didn't survive that day because integrity never made it into the blueprint. And that was instrumental to me in understanding. And I think initially this was the thing that really started me to question the integrity and the character of this pastor that I was serving under. Because, you know, I'm going to try to do what's right in the sight of God, but also in the sight of man so that God would be glorified. And I know that we had a service provided. It was above, what we expected. So it was really quality. And there was no reason for that check to be stopped. And I didn't say nothing else about it because they knew where I stood. Because I'm the person that the pastor got up there and said, look, if she says that I'm not in this office when you call, I'm not in this office. I have had to, he said that he had to actually step outside of the building for me to tell someone he was not in the building because I don't play those games. And to me, at first, when he told me that the check was stopped, I almost felt responsible. But then I had to flip it to say, no, you did what was right. You did what was right. But you cannot be responsible for the actions of others, even if somehow you might have initially been a part of the process. So I'm just saying to you all that we need to really look at the character and integrity of the people that we serve under because you don't want to be caught up in some mess when you are setting out to do the right thing and then someone else comes behind you and does something foul and it's like what, and especially when it's your leader. That thing kind of really, it upset me very much so. But again, I really felt bad and I could tell, and he reassured me, the architect reassured me. He knew that I didn't have anything to do with it. But the point of the matter is it still was representative of our church as a whole, I feel, when the leader fails, when the leader's integrity and character comes into question. I still feel it's a reflection on the whole church. So I did later express, my concern, and there was still no explanation that was satisfactory to me because I did express that we had the product. So because we had the product, when we received the product, there was no issue because we could have gave it right back to him and said it's not up to standard, but it was more than what we expected. So to do that to someone, and we are the church, and just think now, he was he was a Christian, but just think if he wasn't, and we wanted to be representative of the kingdom, so that our works will draw him into becoming a part of the kingdom. That would have left a bad taste in his mouth. It left a bad taste in his mouth being a Christian, but it definitely would not have been something that would actually bring someone in to the fold. So we have to think about even how we deal with people that are in the kingdom and out of the kingdom when we're doing business. So I just wanted to share that story. But I'm telling you, I can still see that man jumping on that daggone model. I mean, he was determined that it was going to be smushed to smithereens and it was no repair. Even if we tried to find some tape and glue, it was no way we was going to be able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So you all be blessed. And I just wanted to share that with you, and have a wonderful evening, and have sweet sleep.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.